Okay, we're sitting now in June 2024. It's been 9 months really since things have come out. Many newspaper stories have come out in various different Kansas City Star, Reuters Report, etc. Do we need an investigation? Isn't it all over?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great question, and I think we need to answer it. And I have 10 thoughts pop in my head. I think one thing, actually, I'm happy is that it's been delayed for many reasons, but it's actually even more truths have come out. And so in some ways, it's been a while, but I'm actually grateful. So that would be one of my comments. Then I think it was our heart from the very beginning is that there's a clear documented statement that is made. And then I would say by a professional. And when I say professional, somebody who's trained to really focus not on the ministry or the minister, actually what has happened, and let's create an environment where those that have been victims can be heard. And then the truth can be documented and stated. So it's my opinion, there's 4 decades of predatory behavior. And we have over 100 people, not victims, but people that we believe need to tell somebody so that an appropriate storyline can be written and documented. And I think it's needed because we still have Mike from what I perceive, Mike wanting to, come back.
Yeah.
Want to get back into ministry. And I think he's ruled out from ministry forever. And so I think we need a documented statement from a professional that will say, no, this is his behavior and this is who he is. And then also I think what he built. There's been real devastation to not victims of Mike, but victims of the institution and its leaders. And it needs to be investigated. And then we need to validate the pain of people. No, this did happen to you, and we're going to hold the people who did it accountable or who facilitated it. And I think it's incredibly important at this hour.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say, who is it over for? It's not over for anyone who has suffered.
Wow. Yeah.
And been abused, neglected. There's been dereliction of duty on many fronts to take care of those stories that were brought forward. And so, over for who? And I remember that in Tammy Wood's disclosure, she told the world that up until the day before she went public, Mike Bickle was texting her to keep her kind of under his coercion. I mean, that's a shocking thing. And I hope that everybody does that math, that he is engaged with the women that he has victimized. And
that would also be true of Jane Doe as well.
That would be true of Jane Doe, exactly. And what did he say? You can just tell him I'm the godliest man. I will say that that's not the first time that we've heard that. There's many things that we have heard that the public has no idea of. Even that IHOP leadership has no idea of. There's been, for a long time, there was just a kind of constant march of stories coming to us. It was utterly overwhelming for us.
Totally overwhelming.
And we had to say to many of them, we need you to wait. I said to many people, I don't want to hurt you by taking your story. I am not trauma informed. I don't want to hurt you by taking your story, and I don't know yet where it's going to go and what we're going to do with it. And so every single one of these stories, and it's far beyond Mike Bickle. And that's been something that has been our heart to make sure that the public understands that there's kind of this flagship horror, which is the Mike Bickle horror, but there's many others. And a system was built that allowed terrible, terrible abuse to happen to people and have it not be not only not dealt with, but because it wasn't dealt with, more abuse happened.
Yeah. No, there's a story this week it's devastating. There was not a proper confrontation and a proper reporting. And that individual actually victimized more people within the community, heinously victimized.
Yeah, so when you look at lives that are altered for forever,
right.
I think of Gracia,
That's right.
who's been so brave to come forward. Her life is forever altered, and in her story is that person who did that to her should have been dealt with differently. And had that happened, potentially, her life would not have been altered as it was. And I believe that she would even say that she herself has received so many stories that she's holding. There's not just us.
Yep.
There's multiple people holding stories, and we want those to be heard by trauma-informed, skilled investigators. Every victim deserves it. And you know what? The public deserves it, because IHOP rose, Mike Bickle rose on public support, both financially and adulation, leaning into the teaching. He was a product of us all, and he owes accountability to us all.
I 100% believe, I agree with that statement. My way of looking at this is, to the measure of your impact, that's to the measure of accountability you have. And that's why I believe this needs to actually be a public statement, because his message and platform was public, like to the nations.